everybody, Mark Schaftlein with you, and this is the Schaftlein Report. It's Thursday's edition, and we're broadcasting from hot and sunny Irvine, California. Happy to have you with us today, and I would like to welcome back my special guest from the great state of Connecticut, Joe Visconti. Happy to have you with me today. We've got a lot to talk about, my friend.
I looked at your topic and analysis email. I was like, whoa!
There's a lot to happening. All right, look, let's get right to it. I mean, there's a couple major stories, but let's talk about Build the Wall 2.0. I mean, if there's not poetic justice in the world, Joe, I don't know how you describe this. I mean, you know, we're seeing Democratic political leaders, Pritzker in Illinois, Adams in New York City, and I could go on and on. They're deluged with illegal immigrants in their cities. Democrats are clamoring for Biden to do something at the border, and finally he agrees to do something that his hardcore base does not want. Now, does that mean we're going to have a Trump wall, or is it going to be some technology wall? What does this mean, Joe?
Well, I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and we all know what's happening there. But what most people don't realize is that the New York City is paying for 3- and 4-star hotels for illegal aliens. So you can't get a hotel room in New York. And I was in a hotel. I saw people. I don't want to rate profile them, but I'm like, are these people from Mexico? So they're filling up the hotels, costing billions of dollars on the budget. They put people in hotels because the average ones at 2, 3-star or whatever are full. So that's happening. This morning, or I think it was yesterday, Governor Lamont from Connecticut was on the business and said, one of the business shows, and said, we are not a sanctuary state. What the heck did you just say? You have been pushing this. I ran for governor. You people are a bunch of hypocrites and liars. You've had the sanctuary status. And I've been pushing for the RICO Act to be used in 2008 when I ran for Congress against the city of New Haven, La Raza, commercial banks, all kinds of groups that are basically committing crimes, harboring illegals. So I think Trump would, if he does get back in, or someone's going to look at that. But they're done. I mean, they've gone so far left, they came back on the right side.
Well, it's just shocking. I mean, there are so many illegals coming across every day. And literally, Texas they got no place for them. They're sending them up to these cities, loading the buses up. And again, Joe, everyone, all these sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, come on, we welcome the poor, the needy, the helpless, blah, 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 blah.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Right. I mean, New York City, which they already have a budget deficit in New York. And look, if they're housing these illegals in 3-star hotels, or, God forsake, 4-star hotels,
they are.
Who in the hell is want to go to New York City and deal with all that crap? I mean, whether it's people getting murdered on the streets, illegals everywhere, you know, homelessness, people defecating on the streets, crime, you name it.
I'll tell you how bad, Mark, how bad it was when I was there for 3 days for a fashion week when my girlfriend's a model, and it rained about 6 hours severely. Couldn't walk.
Yeah.
After 6 hours of hard rain, the streets and everything still stunk. You need bleach on the streets with brushes to get the years of filth and decay and defecation. It's like maybe Calcutta is even better than that today, but it is that bad. They know that, and then all this. So it's a pile on, and it's not really New Yorkers that are doing it. I think it's the business community that they're not speaking. The business, the corporations, the people that rent real estate, beyond the people that live in New York, they can't take it. People don't want to go to work. You can't step over bodies and step over, you know, it's so you've got the filth. And they used to take, it was called blight, and take neighborhoods down years ago in the 30s and 40s and 50s for blight, because New York is infested with bed bugs. And then you get so it's a filth, it's a hygiene.
Yeah, I mean, why the hell anybody would want to live there or go there is just beyond me. I mean, the place stinks, it's ugly. I could go on and on, but it's just not a healthy place, and it's not a safe place. And with all these illegals continue to flood in, look, Eric Adams, give him a little bit of credit. He's been sounding the alarm on this for a couple months. Nobody listened to him. Now these nitwits down in Washington in the Biden administration, finally, again, is it poetic justice that Trump can say, build the wall 2.0. I just wonder if they're really going to go through with it, Joe.
Well, they if you read the article, I forgot which one it was in earlier today, but there was about 6 or 7 federal agencies that had to waive all their
Right.
blockages of this. So that was more telling than if they're going to ever do anything. The fact that they jumped over their own agencies out of urgency is showing you that they're, the head of the southern border and Kamala Harris.
Well, Mayorkas, the poster child of what's wrong with this administration. Well, one of them, Karine Jean-Pierre, is the poster child. But, Mayorkas, he's come out and said countless times, our border is secure. No, it's not. We've been telling you that for years. And yet, even he came out today and said, yeah, we got to waive these 7 agency rules, but we're going to do it, and we're going to get that wall built. Joe, you think it's going to be a real wall, or is it going to be a technical?
Well, they could head fake this because government moves so slow. They could head fake this as a political issue, begin the process, and never do a damn thing. You know that.
Yeah.
Never give them credit. They're just trying to. This is why they want Trump gone, because they need to steal his agenda, and they want him to be smeared and smear his agenda and then own it. And they're a bunch of thieves. They're hypocrites, and they're what I call it political parasites in the Democrat Party. They can't create, so they've got to steal, and that's what they're doing.
Yep. All right,
let's
move on to the other pressing story, and that is who Joe Visconti is going to be Speaker of the House. I mean, wow. Look, McCarthy, I'm going to just regress just a minute. How in the hell he ever let them get away with one person being able to call for a vote? I mean, that happened back in January, I guess, when it took 15 rounds to get him a speaker. But my God, talk about abuse of power, being stabbed in the back. I mean, some of these people who he'd raised a lot of money for, like Nancy Mace, I mean, she stabbed him in the back. Pelosi stabbed him in the back. I mean,
here's the problem: the big picture on the base with the base, and that's the bases we're talking about. Right. Eric Cantor went through this. He got knocked out years ago in the Tea Party.
By Schaftlein Report regular Dave Brett, by the way.
Yeah. That's good. But what's happening is November 17th is going to come real quick. And that's what the deal was, to keep the government open, no Ukraine spending for 45 days? Would McCarthy be able to shut the government down a week before Thanksgiving? No. So it was a head fake again, and it was just a Band-Aid. And it's not just the right wingers. Gates, of course, was what he did was radical to the base. I mean, not the base, but the political establishment. But the fact is, continuing resolutions, always caving in, always debt driven, never. And Ukraine, listen, I would say one thing: give Ukraine money, but make it tie it to making the money auditable. Paper trail,
sure,
audit trail.
Absolutely.
That you don't get a dime unless we know where you spent it. At least that.
I concur with you, Joe.
And they should have done that. And that's what McCarthy should have done.
And the other thing, there were other proposals out there that I think Chip Roy and another congressman, like an 8% cut to the federal budget that could have been presented. I know Hannity talked about that a lot. There was other ways it could happen. But at the end of the day, he's out now. They had the vote. Now, let's look forward, because we're always a forward-looking show, Joe. All right. Obviously, a couple candidates, four prominent candidates have emerged. Steve Scalise, who I like, but I don't know that Steve's the right guy for that job. Jim Jordan, who I respect significantly. Jim Jordan would be a great speaker, in my opinion.
But Jim Jordan, we need him on those committees.
I know, but Jim Jordan's the type of guy who, he's a leader. And I'd have no problem at all supporting Jim Jordan.
Number one for me. He's number one guy if we don't lose his power in the committees he's serving on chasing Biden.
All right, understood. Candidate number 3 that's emerged, according to a poll I saw, Newt Gingrich. That's sort of a step, and I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I love Newt. He ran for president. I went to some of his rallies, but we got to look.
He's a funny guy. He was a funny guy. I was with him having a couple drinks in the VIP area of inauguration in 2017 with Trump, and in the back room. And everybody, and Paul Ryan was over in the other area in the VIP, and everybody was surrounding him because he was a speaker. and all this. And Newcomb is kind of miserable. He's got a couple sides. He's a brain.
Yeah,
he's
no,
smart.
he's sharp.
But if he gets a little weird or a little in the Newt zone or something, so you never can tell. I think the curve is past for him. He's a better pundit and commentator.
I think so. But I mean, he would be acceptable. But I mean, I like Jim Jordan better. And then, of course, there is the 800-pound elephant in the room. DJT and Donald J. Trump.
Well, he could. He could. But the problem is he complains so much about running for president, and he can't do all of his court cases while he's running, and he's going to add this job.
No,
so he cut his own throat.
Yeah, I think it's flattering. I think it's flattering that they're going to look if somebody nominated.
Yeah, Taylor Greene nominated him today, I believe.
Well,
and I think what they want to do is they want to get a head count to see how many writers.
Well, I saw an article. I don't know if it's true or not that every Democrat would vote for Trump. Then he would only need 6 or 8 Republicans, just like Alston McCarthy, to ensure continuing chaos. I mean, look, look. If I'm sitting here with Trump advising him, I'm saying, Mr. President, you've got it. Despite what some of these polls and commanders are showing narrowing, you're up minimum 30 in all the early states.
He won't do that.
I don't think. I think that's more vanity than anything else. So.
He already answered it. He's very shrewd. Where people think he wants titles. What greater title is there than to be the president with the pardon yourself?
Right.
So
it would be a unique situation, a former president becoming Speaker of the House while running for president under 91 indictment.
Well, nominating him will be enough of a history for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. So you and I are on the same page. Jim Jordan would make a great speaker.
I think he's a pit bull that I love him on the committees he's on, but at the same time, going after Biden, he's on the committee. He would have to step down as chair of some of those because you got to give him up. It's a completely different ball game. But I think what would happen is he'd take that feistiness. And don't forget, Jordan is very fair. They don't like him because he's truthful and fair, and he calls it. So I think you get that no nonsense. The Boehner, the Paul Ryan, the McCarthy. McCarthy is Paul Ryan. There's just that working across the aisle or with the lobbyists. I think there's gonna be no nonsense. I think that really is the beginning of getting rid of the swamp.
Well, you bring up McCarthy. Interesting thing. The guy was a prolific fundraiser. I mean, he was a fundraiser second to none. Big money from pharmaceuticals, big money from defense contractors, and he spread it around. I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Mark, they can still take the money, just like we talked about Ukraine. You still could fund something, but you've got to have controls on it, and it's got to be transparent and public.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Joe. I'm in your camp.
Farmer's not getting anything from us.
I'm in your camp 100% on that. Now, speaking of shenanigans in the House, did you see the piece where Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry has removed Pelosi, evicted her, and apparently has evicted Steny Hoyer too? The libs are outraged.
And she was at Feinstein's funeral when it happened. She said on a tweet or something like, wait, I can't even get back. He said, I'll send somebody to empty the room I needed for storage or something. It was hilarious.
Yeah, she's with Feinstein's corpse while all the shenanigans are happening in Washington. All right, so how would you handicap it? You and I both like Jim Jordan. There's a few other names being kicked around. The vote's going to be what? They're going to have a meeting next Tuesday, okay? And then they're going to, I guess, private meeting. How do you handicap it? What do you think comes out of it?
I think Democrats are going to nominate some people. That's what I think. I think they're going to want to nominate. Of course, they can, and you never know what they may do. They may nominate somebody that's a populist, that's not even a congressman. A lot of stuff can happen. They're not going to sit on their hands and just wait. They are not. Watch for the Democrats and do something shrewd, something very shrewd. I don't know what. It won't work, but it's going to throw a monkey wrench because they basically ousted McCarthy, not the Republicans.
Well, the Democrats clearly did oust McCarthy. I don't know if that was the brightest move they had because McCarthy was
stupid. That was stupid on their part.
Yeah, I didn't think it was politically smart either because, look, people see through this. they're not going to blame Republicans. They know, most people know what happened. But anyhow, let me move on a little bit. Joe, we've talked about the economy a lot. My sense, and you've been really on top of this too, for the average working man and woman in this country. Boy, the average working man in this country and people at the lower end of the economic ladder, they're really hurting right now. I mean, we are starting to see some signs that are really affecting day to day. I mean, gasoline prices. Joe, I know it's cheaper. I was in Florida in the Midwest. I know it's cheaper there. Here in California, we're above $6 a gallon, okay? Chicken prices going up, pork prices going up, beef prices already sky high. You know, the average American family is really suffering right now. And interest rates, they're high, and they're likely to stay high for a while.
Well, that's, you know, Mark, you know that economically, the price of energy and the price of money are the two drivers for inflation. And that's what Biden has done. He started with the energy, which then made it push over for the interest rates, plus the debt. There's so much debt. And that's what the shutdown was about. Shut it down for a week. We're shutting it down for a week, and we're going to look at options. And McCarthy should have said this. Go back to that thing for a second. We will open it up in 25 or 30 days. In that 30-day interim, here's what we expect to see by Thanksgiving. Here's what we want. He needed to do something, but they're so caught up. But why I'm saying that is because the debt is I don't even know the percentage. I think it's got.
Let me share it with you.
What's the number of our debt service debt?
We're now spending over 3% of the budget just on interest payments, and that is going to escalate because you're not borrowing money at 1 or 2% anymore. You're borrowing at 5%, and the yield curve, which was significantly inverted, it's still slightly inverted, but that inversion, which was 125 basis points, is down to like 40 basis points. That tells you, we are headed towards a potential recession in this country. And, things may get problematic. I used the term stagflation on my show the other day. I had some people disagree with me. But let me define that. High inflation, no growth economy. We could be there, Joe. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. That's Jimmy Carter era politics. Yeah. But
you took the words out of my mouth. Jimmy Carter is where we are, and it's ideologically driven by the left. It's not anything that happened by natural events or wars or competition from other nations, etc. But we also have what's coming from Germany and Europe. And the winter that's coming and the exports that are down, this will all, because of what they've done, has yet to manifest completely. But Americans really, for the most part, the middle class, have a lot of stuff. What they can't maintain, from what I hear from people, is I bought so much stuff I don't need anymore. I don't need another car. I don't need this, but I can't maintain the taxes. I can't maintain the credit card. I can't maintain. And never mind buying any more. So, it's like after Christmas, but full time. That week after Christmas, the credit cards start coming in. And that's now the living standard that we're all going through. We have a lot of stuff, but the energy costs, the car insurance.
You hit it. Insurance, whether car insurance, business insurance. In Florida, insurance rates are skyrocketing because of potential hurricane.
The cost of doing business, living, utilities and insurances and all those things, those are the things that are drivers. People aren't crying they can't get this anymore, but they can't maintain. They're trying to hold what they have.
Right.
And that's what I see.
It's not easy. It's real. And the job report's coming out tomorrow morning. These people hoping for interest rate cuts, I'm not seeing it. I mean, Joe, inflation is still everywhere out there. It may have slowed down, but look at these wage gains that are, look what the workers are bargaining for at GM. It seems like everybody in the world's on strike right now for higher wages. That's going to filter through the economy also. So I don't know. To me, it looks like we have an economy that's in trouble and millions of Americans are being affected by it. Let me tell you something.
We can go one of two ways. We're either the Democrats are going to recognize this right now, and try to do something just for political gain next year, but they're so gone. And the players that are running Biden, don't care. See, we don't know who
Right.
they are. We really know who they are, and the ones who are pulling the strings behind the scenes for this. And they want to. And I hate to say it, Trump says it. They want to destroy the country. There's people in there that, when it looks like they want to destroy the country, and they're having a hard time destroying the economy because it was so strong under Trump and what he did. So they're having a hard time breaking and destroying, and they're showing what they're doing, and they can't break it. That's how I think that's how strong our economy is. We just need to stop pushing the brake on at the same time as the gas pedal.
What do you make of the polling right now that shows Trump and Biden basically in a statistical tie?
I think the country's split, and I think it's a swing state election, like it was with Hillary, like it was with Trump.
Yeah.
Regardless of the 10 million extra votes in blue states, 45,000 votes in 3 states for Hillary, she lost. Biden won by 45,000 in 3 states. It's going to get down to a small city decides the fate of the world, not just the nation. Really,
I agree with you on that. And it's interesting. Biden's job approval, 40% approval, 54% don't. The right track, wrong track of the country is still way upside down. It's going to get worse. You got 2 independent candidates right now, Cornel West and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Who pulls more votes away from whom? I mean, the convention.
Kennedy's going to take a lot of Democrats that won't vote for Trump, don't even want to vote. See, our problem is people don't want to vote. And that's the article I was in the Hartford Current list last Sunday. And they don't want to get out. They don't want to engage. They don't want to vote. But if they have to throw it away, it's like Bush and when he ran.
At Buchanan.
The point is they're going to look at this and say, I don't want to vote. But if that guy's right, he's not going to win, and I don't care. It's not a protest vote. It's I do want to vote, and I love my country, but I can't vote for Trump because of whatever, and I'm not voting for Biden if I'm a Dem, or even if I'm Republican. There are many Republicans that may feel the same way, where there's not party loyalty. The reason Biden is split is because Democrats will vote for their own, no matter if he's the devil.
You basically have Joe Biden, who's a walking corpse. That it's just sad to see him over.
Kennedy's going to hurt. Kennedy is going to hurt. Cornel is going to hurt too. They're going to destroy. But again, it's swing state, and this is why I've been pushing the Trump campaigns from people I know. All boots and all cash have to go to 6 swing states. Don't put an ad or a lawn sign in anywhere but the swing states. You already got the red states. They got the blue states.
Well, let's recap those states. Arizona, Nevada out west, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, although it could be fool's gold. Okay, that's 5. Georgia, 6. North Carolina, it's going to be close, 7. Virginia, maybe.
You want to fight in Virginia anyway.
Yeah, I think there's 8 states. New Hampshire, 9. You could throw New Hampshire in there, but there's 7 to 9 states. There's no disagreement with you and I at all.
New Hampshire doesn't have enough electoral college. Same way with Nevada, even though Nevada's always ready to flip our way. But we have to have boots and money. And the problem is, listen, I know these people inside, and there are RNC and the Republicans, and they're all good people, but nobody's doing the work on the ground. They never will. It's all money going out to digital advertisement. It's cronyism. I'm sorry, but they're not. And we need armies on the ground in the swing states the last 90 days.
I think that's going to happen as we get a nominee. I think. What do you make of Nikki Haley's rise in New Hampshire? Trump's still up by 30, but the media is trying to tout her as she's really coming on strong. But her and DeSantis are only separated by a few points.
I was in the Hartford Current and a few other papers when she was here in Connecticut, and also 2 weeks ago on the same Nikki Haley issue. And I said she's very feisty. I'm sorry, I fight a lot of right wingers, but I see her for me as a VP. Regardless.
Well, sure, she could. There's no question she could do that. She's been a successful governor of South Carolina. She was UN ambassador. She's well qualified for the job.
Yeah, Trump is calling her bird brain. She's attacking him. He doesn't know his butt from a hole in the ground in Ukraine. They're having some fights, but all in all, he doesn't have a lot of choice. And this time around, if he does make it, he needs someone who could run government, that knows how to run government, that takes the lead of the agenda, but run government. And again, the Ukraine thing, bottom line is, because that's really the neocon stuff, audit the money, show us where it's going, show us where the military supplies end up from Raytheon,
Yeah.
tell us where everything is, and we're okay.
Right.
Hide and seek with it and everything.
That's
We don't want
that's
to
not
end
good.
up in a third world country.
Right. Well, you saw overnight where 50 people were killed in I call it a terrorist attack, 'cause that's what it is. When you shoot a missile at a grocery store in a civilian neighborhood, I mean, come on. I mean, I know the Russians are horrific. They violate every rules of war, but killing innocent civilians in grocery stores it just is another example of what we're dealing with here. And it's really,
you can end this war. You can end this war tomorrow. You really can if the president and a few other players in Europe basically say one statement: NATO is not going to. Ukraine is not going to join NATO. Period. That's not going to happen. You would watch the world change. Because as you know, we've been creeping with NATO since 1991.
Right.
We weren't supposed to do a thing, and they've taken over all of it. And that's really, listen, I'm going to call us out for what we are. We're bad guys when it comes to that. We're going to push into Moscow? Yeah. Come on. What if they did that to us? So the reality is you say that, all right, and things could change. But they don't want it to change. That's our problem. The left doesn't want it to change. They were always the peacekeepers. Now they're the warmongers,
right. Well, let's close it out on two other things, and neither one of them are very pleasant. They deal with New York City. Joe, did you see the horrific video of that innocent guy, that young guy, 32, 34 years old, murdered by some knucklehead guy, black guy, mentally unstable, needless, senseless killing, and now they've caught the guy. I mean, it happened in Brooklyn. I mean, it's all over the news now, all over the internet. I mean, Joe, for all the issues, I mean, this is just a horrific situation. This young guy didn't deserve to die. He didn't do anything wrong. A random murder right on the streets of New York by some lunatic.
Yep, it's everywhere. You've got to watch yourself in Manhattan now. It's like it was in the 70s. I remember going to New York in the 70s. I was a teenager, early 20s. It was dangerous until Giuliani came in. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
It was a different danger and a different filth, but no less. Now there's double the people in the world, so of course things are going to be amplified. But
terrible.
And this is all easy stuff to fix. But again, I'm gonna basically say the lefties and
they gotta want to fix it. I mean, it almost seems to me it's got to get so bad before their own constituents say we can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how they roll.
Yeah.
That's how they roll.
Yeah, I know. And then let me close it out with this. All right. This judge, apparently in this Trump fraud trial, which I think is a travesty. I mean, ordering that Trump not to transfer any assets, not that he would do it anyhow, but basically placing sort of a gag order on him moving the assets. Here you have a situation where they say Trump inflated the appraisal. Wait a minute. Banks made these loans. Banks should have ordered the appraisal. As best I can tell, they underwrote these loans. Trump borrowed the money and he paid it back. This should not be happening, Joe.
It's just, there's only one thing. Mar-a-Lago worth $18 million.
$18 million. You couldn't touch Mar-a-Lago for $18 million. It's worth 10 times that.
It's the weaponized. I tell you, our republic falls on one thing, and we've spoken about this before. It falls on equal justice under the law. If we don't have that, we don't have a nation.
Right.
You can't think you can't get a deal with a judge that's impartial. You need to know, you go to court or something happens, that you can find justice somewhere. That's where anarchy comes from. That's where vigilantism comes from, when you can't find justice. You can't find it anywhere. So, and it's got to change. It is really up to the Bar Association, all the lawyers in America. They've got to get together and say enough is enough. These precedents all can't get sent to the Supreme Court.
No, I mean, it's
every zoning law that's crazy in a town in Utah somewhere can't end up at the Supreme Court because it's nuts to get rejected. You can't wait for everything to get up there.
Right.
They're doing what they want with lawfare at every level of government.
Right. No, it's insane. I mean, and to say Mar-a-Lago's not worth $18 million, that part, I've been there numerous times, Joe. That is a spectacular property on an island where real estate has literally gone through the roof. And for these knuckleheads to think they know more about the local real estate. To me, it's
Trouble-
bothersome.
trouble.
30 years ago, I was in the mortgage lending business. Individuals don't tell the value of their own property. They can say what they think it is, but ultimately the lender orders the appraisal and accepts it or rejects it.
I want to go on realtor.com when we get off, or Zillow, and put Mar-a-Lago in there and see what they rated it, because they do everybody, even if it's not on the market.
It's way more
Let's
than
see
what
what they say. Oh, I want to see.
Yeah, you
when I get
should.
off.
You should look it up.
Everybody at home, do that, listening or watching. Go to Zillow, put in Mar-a-Lago with the address, or realtor.com. See if you got 18 million.
Oh, you couldn't. You buy that property 18, you're stealing it. I'm telling you. All right, Joe, 30 seconds. Where do we go from here?
I think the economy is much stronger than we know. They can't kill it. They've been trying to kill it since Biden got elected, and they can't. You're not going to stop the Trump economy. And it's only Trump economy because it was common sense. Deregulate things, get rid of heavy regulations, lower interest rates, all the things that he brought to the table, which are just American. They're not Republican. They're American, for crying out loud.
That's what we got to get back to. Everything's got to be American, not Democrat, not Republican.
American, the old American way. Detroit, build the cars right, do things good and proud. And I think America will always go back to its roots. It's going through a crazy spell right now. It's going through midlife crisis.
Boy, you are not kidding. You are not kidding on that. Joe, thanks for joining me today. We're out of time. Listen, folks, we'll be back next week. We'll have stories for you on the speakership because I know a lot's going to develop over the weekend. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, particularly all our viewers in deep blue cities. And we'll be back on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.